I've been making videos about the Championship for the past 2 or 3 years now, but I don't think we've had a season like this in a long time. The race for automatic promotion, the top 6, and the fight for relegation at the moment is all really intense in the Championship, and this weekend we've got some massive fixtures to predict. So as always, do let me know in the comments down below what do you think is going to happen this weekend, as well as some Championship fixtures. We also have some FA Cup games going on this weekend, which do feature 2 Championship clubs, which we'll also be predicting at the end of today's video. And as well as your score predictions, also let me know down below what you made of your team's performance in midweek. We had some big upsets going on in midweek, so I'm interested to get some of your guys' views on that. But without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into this week's score predictions. And we are starting things out with a massive one. As the early kickoff on Saturday, we got Leeds going up against Sheffield United. It's second going up against third. Only 2 points separates these two clubs at the moment, and this is a really tough one to call, so I'm interested to see which way you guys are swaying for this one. In midweek, we saw Sheffield United beating Brentford by 2-0, despite having a man sent off quite early on in that game, Gary Medine, who will be suspended for this fixture. When these two sides met earlier on this season, it was actually a Dean Henderson mistake which settled the game, and Leeds walked away with all 3 points, winning that one 1-0. Dean Henderson, though, lately has been on fantastic form for United. In midweek, he popped up with some big saves against Brentford. Leeds also looked very convincing in midweek, managing to put 3 goals past Reading, and ever since Leeds had that little bit of a blip against QPR, they've been looking ferocious going forward lately. Pablo Hernandez, he's looking absolutely fantastic at the moment. It's also an interesting dynamic, Sheffield United without Gary Medine. I think they'll be a little bit less direct for this game, and there's perhaps an argument to be made that they're actually better off without Gary Medine. Having that link-up play between Billy Sharp and David McGoldrick, it means they'll have the ball on the floor a lot more for this one. So honestly, I don't think much is going to separate these two sides. I don't want to sit on the fence for it, but I genuinely do think that this one's going to end level as a 1-1 draw. If Leeds win this one, though, that will be massive for the rest of this season, as they will go 5 points clear of Sheffield United. But I'll say 1-1. FIFA's going to agree with me. I'm interested to know what you guys are saying for this one. And then we see Aston Villa going up against Middlesbrough. Who would have thought Villa could have found themselves in this position a few weeks ago in the Championship? They've won 3 consecutive matches now, and ever since Jack Grealish has been back on the scene for Villa, they look like a completely different side. The game they had in midweek was a big statement, beating Nottingham Forest by 3-1. John McGinn scoring 2 fantastic goals in that game. And the interesting dynamic about this one is that if Aston Villa do win this game, they'll only be 1 point behind Middlesbrough in 5th place in the Championship. And for a lot of time now, myself personally, I've been saying this, I was always sort of in the opinion that there was only really 1 playoff place to play for. I thought that everyone 5th and above was quite safe there, but with Middlesbrough losing in the last few games, that is no longer the case. Middlesbrough midweek lost to Preston North End, a game which they really shouldn't have lost, especially how the flow of the first half was going. They really could have buried us with some of the chances they had in that one. But once again, Middlesbrough sort of sitting on a 1-goal lead, not taking advantage of that. They then had a player sent off, and the game completely shifted in momentum, and they ended up losing to my team, Preston North End. So for this one, Middlesbrough don't find themselves in a good moment at the moment, and with how Villa are playing, I'm going to back them for a 2-1 home victory, with FIFA saying it'll be a 1-1 draw. And then we got Brentford going up against West Brom. West Brom living life now without Darren Moore, and they got off to the perfect start without him in midweek, putting 3 goals past Swansea City. And Swansea, they did create quite a few chances in that game, to be fair to them. Burston Selina had a penalty, which the less talked about the better, really. But going up against Brentford in this game will be a completely different test for this West Brom side. Brentford at Griffin Park lately have been absolutely phenomenal. In their last 4 games in the Championship at home, they've scored 14 goals. And against a West Brom defence who has been quite suspect so far this season, I think this Brentford side could get quite a bit of joy out of them. The game that Brentford had in midweek against Sheffield United, I actually thought they got a little bit unlucky. They created 29 goal scoring opportunities in that game, but didn't manage to get anything into the back of the net. Dean Henderson had a very good game for United in that one. For this one, though, I feel like Brentford will continue with their attacking flair and tenacity going forward. They won't give West Brom an easy ride for this one, and I can see quite a few goals being scored. With how Brentford are at Griffin Park at the moment, though, I'm just going to back them for quite a dramatic 3-2 home victory. I think that one could be quite an entertaining one. I'll say 3-2. FIFA's going to say 2-0 Brentford. I'm interested to know what you guys are saying for that one. Next up, we see Hull going up against QPR. Hull were involved in quite a dramatic game in midweek, a 3-2 away loss against Norwich City. Norwich were going to town on them in the first half, but they just managed to get a goal back and made it quite an interesting event for the second half. At home, Hull are a force to be reckoned with, quite similar to Brentford actually. Hull are unbeaten in their last 9 home matches. Do QPR stand much of a chance of getting something from this one? I'm not really so sure. QPR have been a side who haven't really been impressing me lately, I have to say. QPR in midweek, I would have thought, would have been quite disappointed to lose against Rotherham in the manner that they did. They got back into the game quite late on, but they conceded a set piece and ended up losing it 2-1. They're going up against a Hull squad who will create a lot of chances in this game, and with QPR's defence not exactly filling me with a lot of confidence at the moment, I think that Hull may get quite a bit of joy out of this one, and I will back the home side for a 3-1 victory. With FIFA saying it'll be 2-0 Hull. And then we got Ipswich going up against Nottingham Forest. Now Ipswich can't be wrote off for this game. 5 of their last 6 games have finished as 1-1 draws, so you'd probably be foolish to back against that happening in this game as well. Lately Ipswich have taken some points off some pretty big clubs, you know, the likes of Derby County, West Brom and Bristol City in midweek. All clubs chasing promotion this season, and all clubs lately who Ipswich Town at the bottom of the table have been able to take points off. Their performances have been a lot better than their league table suggests. At Portman Road especially, defensively they've been looking a lot better, and scoring goals hasn't been as much of an issue as it was earlier on in the season. They're going up against Nottingham Forest side though, who need to bounce back after what was quite a disappointing performance in midweek. Losing against Aston Villa, that was a chance for this Forest side to really go ahead and impose themselves on the top 6, going up against a fellow promotion rival. They didn't manage to do that, they couldn't rise to the occasion in that one. A few players' performance levels who we normally expect quite a lot from just weren't quite at it in that game. They'll want to bounce back in this one, but Ipswich are no mugs at the moment, so I'm actually going to say it'll finish as another 1-1 draw, with FIFA saying it'll be 1-0 Forest. And then we got my team Preston going up against Birmingham, 2 sides still in the hunt of the top 6 this season, and I can't believe I'm saying that about Preston, considering we were bottom of the table after 10 games have been played. The turnaround from us this season has been absolutely marvellous. We're unbeaten now in our last 11 championship matches, we've won our last 6 away games. It's just our home form at the moment that's sort of holding us back from the top 6. 5 of our last 6 home games have all ended as draws, and if we do want to bridge that gap and go ahead and forge our way into the top 6, that's something that's going to need to change. We're going up against the Birmingham side who didn't look very good in midweek. Obviously coming off the back of that loss they had against Aston Villa, they didn't put in the performance against quite a struggling Millwall side so far this season and lost that game 2-0. Preston pulled a result out of absolutely nowhere against Middlesbrough. Judging by how the first half went, Alex Neil really baffled me by how he set us up. We were chopping and changing the team and I'm not sure what direction we were trying to go in really, but in the second half the changes made the big difference. Jaden Stockley and Brandon Barker coming on from the bench, winning against Middlesbrough has absolutely propelled us up the league, and we are now only 2 points away from the top 6, so everything's still to play for. The only concerns we have going into this is we do still have quite a hefty injury list. Alan Brown went off injured in midweek, and if Brad Potts isn't returning for this game, I'm not sure who will play in that number 10 role. The good news for Preston is that Louis Moult and Callum Robinson are both nearing their returns, so the sooner they get back into the squad, the better. I'm going to go for an optimistic 1-0 home victory for Preston. I don't think there'll be much in it between these two sides, although it wouldn't surprise me if this one was another draw, but I will say 1-0 Preston, and FIFA's going to agree with me. That could be a massive result for us. And then we got Rotherham going up against Norwich City, 2 sides going up against each other who are fighting for very different things this season. Rotherham do still find themselves in the relegation zone, however there is nothing separating the sides at the bottom at the moment. From the relegation zone up to 19th, there's only 1 point separating Rotherham and Millwall, so a win for any side this weekend and that completely flips around the table as to who is in the bottom 3 at the moment. But do Rotherham stand much of a chance in this game? I'm not so sure. Norwich lately going forward have just been playing with such a pizzazz and flair and tenacity. It's been absolutely marvellous to watch, and some of the goals they've been scoring lately have been absolutely unbelievable. Stiepermann's goal in midweek was fantastic, but Emi Buendia's second was absolutely unreal. The flick on to Timu Pukki and then Buendia got the ball back was absolutely joyous to watch. Buendia at the moment is just playing on another level in the Championship, and I absolutely love watching him play. Rotherham did pick up a very big win in midweek against QPR, left that one quite late, but picking up all 3 points when some of the sides at the Championship also did the same was a big result for them. Rotherham have only lost 1 of their last 5 matches, although I feel like this one may be a step too far with the way that Norwich are playing at the moment. The home side will try and make themselves hard to break down, but I've got to be fancying Norwich for it. I'm going to back the away side for a 2-0 victory, and FIFA is also going to agree with me for that one. And then we see Sheffield Wednesday going up against Blackburn Rovers. Wednesday only find themselves 4 points off the playoffs, which is another side which I can't believe I'm saying that at the moment, but going on this unbeaten streak under Steve Bruce so far, there's been a lot more positivity around Wednesday. They beat Bolton fairly convincingly in midweek, and they're going up against a Blackburn side who maybe got a bit of their bounce back with their 3-0 home victory over Wigan in midweek. Before that, Blackburn were going on a really torrid run of form. You could sort of see their fortunes turning though. The game they had at the weekend against my team Preston, they probably should have got something from that game. They were creating a lot more chances, and for this one I think it could be quite an open game of football. Bradley Dack also got back 2 goal scoring ways in that game against Wigan. He was a player who wasn't quite looking his normal self in the past month or so. Him and Danny Graham scoring in midweek will serve Blackburn well going forward for this season. Sheffield Wednesday at the moment though, there just seems to be something about them. This run under Steve Bruce just doesn't seem to be coming to an end anytime anytime soon. And so, although I could see maybe Blackburn sneaking this one, I will back the home side for a 2-1 victory, with FIFA saying it'll be 1-0 Sheffield Wednesday. And as long as Wednesday keep grinding out the results, who knows where they'll end up at the end of the season. And then we see Stoke going up against Reading. Stoke are unbeaten in the last 6 matches now, although 5 of those games have all ended as draws, and it wouldn't really surprise me if this game was to head in a similar direction. Reading had put together back-to-back wins in the Championship, although against Leeds that was probably one step too far, losing that game in midweek. It's a good chance for them to bounce back, although I can't really see there being much in it between these two sides. In the game Reading had against Leeds, they were able to create quite a few opportunities. It's just they're missing a couple of players at the moment who have been vital in their resurgence lately, and with it being so tight in the Championship at the bottom of the table, every point now is absolutely vital. I think this one's heading towards a 1-1 draw, with FIFA saying it'll be 1-0 Reading. And this next one is really looking like a must-win game for Wigan. They've lost their last 3 matches now and really find themselves in a perilous position. A month or so ago, I would have said, yeah, I think Wigan will be safe this season. I don't think they'll do anything in the Championship, but I think they've probably got enough points from now until the end of the season to go ahead and ride it out. But that's not been the case. They are only 1 point above the relegation zone at the moment, and this game against Bolton is absolutely crucial. Bolton are a side who I really can't decipher at the moment. Obviously, there's a lot of things going on off the field there at the moment, but in terms of Bolton on the pitch, they go from 1 week beating the likes of Birmingham and Millwall, and then to the next week they look like one of the worst sides ever assembled in the Championship. They are a really topsy-turvy club at the moment in terms of performances. A local game against Wigan though, surely the Bolton players will be fired up for this one. I think it's going to be a very intense, cagey sort of game. Wigan themselves aren't going to be playing with much confidence. Their performances lately really have left quite a bit to be desired, although they probably did get quite unlucky in that game they had at the weekend against Reading. They need their forward-thinking players to really turn up in this game. I think it's going to be a close one, but I'll just back Wigan to get back to winning ways with a 1-0. I don't think they'll be much in it though, with FIFA saying it'll be a 1-1 draw. So there are all the games which are going on this weekend in the Championship. So before we do round off this video, we will now move on into some FA Cup action. So in the FA Cup, we do have Swansea going up against Manchester City, and I mean, it would be quite brave to be back in Swansea for this one, especially coming off the back of how they played last time in the Championship. In fairness, they actually created quite a few chances against West Brom, but they had one glorious chance to get back into the game, a Bertrand Selena penalty, and arguably, it was absolutely baffling. Swansea fans, let me know down below what went on with that, but Bertrand Selena playing against his former club Man City will be wanting to put that behind him and wanting to put on a show for this one, but with how Man City are going in all competitions at the moment, you feel like they could absolutely steamroll Swansea. I expect Guardiola will make a couple of changes for this one, although even when Man City do make changes, they've still got a ridiculously stacked squad, and forward-thinking players are going to be on it for this one for Man City. They're just coming off the back of scoring 7 goals against Schalke in the Champions League, so God knows what's capable in this game against Swansea, but I actually think it'll be a decent game of football. Both sides are going to try and play in the right way, although I can't see past Man City for this one. I'll back the away side for a 4-1 victory, with FIFA saying it'll be 2-1 City. Then on Sunday we see Millwall going up against Brighton. Brighton in the Premier League were one of those sides a couple of weeks ago who I was probably fancying to be relegated actually, with the way that performances were going and results to match that as well. Things looked like they were going on a bit of a downward trend, but they've managed to turn that around lately with 2 back-to-back wins in the Premier League. Going up against a Millwall side who I think the FA Cup has actually been quite a nice distraction from the league lately for Millwall. With Millwall being in that clump of clubs down near the bottom of the Championship, it'll be quite an interesting dynamic actually if any of the other sides do take advantage of Millwall not playing this weekend to go ahead and pile a bit of pressure on them when they do play that game in hand. But the full focus will be on Brighton this weekend. Honestly, I think it will probably be the Premier League club which does edge this one. Millwall defensively not looking brilliant at the moment, and going forward, scoring goals from open play has been a bit of an issue. The FA Cup has been a little bit of an anomaly for Millwall so far this season though, in terms of them being able to raise their performances, so maybe we'll see them do it in this one as well, but honestly, I'm not so sure. I will back Brighton for a 2-1 away victory, with FIFA saying it'll be 1-0 Millwall. And then for the other 2 games going on in the FA Cup this weekend, we got Watford going up against Crystal Palace. That one I think will be quite a close one. I'll just back Watford for a 2-1 home victory. And then we got Wolves going up against Manchester United, and with Wolves' record against the top 6 and being at Molineux as well, they really could throw a spanner in the works for that one. I'll say we'll finish as a 2-2 draw, and then I'll back, I think, Man United on penalties. I think that one could go all the way though. But guys, they have it there. All the games going on this weekend in both the FA Cup and the Championship. So do let me know what are your score predictions in the comments down below. And if you do manage to get any of them right, your comment will be included at the start of the next video. But apart from that guys, that will now wrap it up for this video. So if you did go on to enjoy, make sure you do leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you do subscribe for a bit of regular Championship content. But apart from that guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.